So you are listening to the International Service of Radio Tunis, and we have the pleasure to have with us today Mourad Ghalleb, who is teacher of English and also director of l'Idéal School in Nabeul. And I also have the pleasure to receive today Skander Kridis, who is one of your students at l'Idéal School, but he is here today to talk about his participation in this event, which is the performance of Hamlet. And this is a play everybody knows is by William Shakespeare, maybe one of his, maybe the longest play, in fact, by William Shakespeare.
One of the best.
One of the best tragedies, yes, by William Shakespeare. Right, so first of all, before we get to know more about Hamlet, and so let me ask you to introduce a little bit the event for us. So Mourad, is this the first time that you engage with the students in performing plays and doing this, I mean, this type of work, which is maybe part of teaching as well, and it gives them another insight into the language and into the culture, of course, by introducing them to Britain's greatest writer and poet, William Shakespeare, and especially this year that we are celebrating his 400th anniversary. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yes,
that's right. Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's actually it's part of the tradition of l'Idéal schools. This is our fourth play already. Mm-hmm. We
the previous one's not by Shakespeare.
No, one
this is
by
the first
Shakespeare.
one by Shakespeare.
No, Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, you did Romeo and Juliet as well.
Was an excellent work.
Wow.
They loved it. This was about 2 years ago, and we produced Animal Farm as well by George Orwell.
Mm-hmm, by George Orwell. Yes,
it was a big success as well. Other shorter plays, I would say. Mm-hmm. But I've always used short plays in teaching. Mm-hmm. Actually, it started like that. And when I noticed that my kids were really keen on acting, and I saw the influence of acting and performing had on learning the English language itself, I decided back then to start producing longer plays.
So that was like what? How many years ago that you
about
really started
10
doing
years
this?
ago.
About 10 years ago.
The first play, Animal Farm, was 1994, actually, before even I started school.
Mm-hmm. So was it a celebration of like 1984 by George
Orwell?
Something
like that, yeah. And I was amazed by the fact that the kids, loved going through the experience, because they did two things that they were really keen on: English and acting.
Right.
And that was wonderful. I mean, they just spent hours and hours rehearsing and not complaining. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, when we finished our rehearsals, they put something really wonderful on stage.
So the importance of drama for you in English language learning and teaching. I mean, do you think that maybe it is high time that we introduced something like this in our teaching?
High time? It's a little late, really.
Well,
it is high time we started, and with the past to show that it's a little late. But it's never too late. I mean, I do encourage my colleagues who are in charge of private schools or state schools to start something like this in their schools and with their students.
Actually, it's very, very interesting, to realize nowadays that there are more students and more teachers into it. And we received here so many students, for example, who were very active and very productive, in writing poetry, for instance, in doing
writing short stories,
performing plays, whether they are by known writers or by more contemporary writers as well. So this is really very, very important, because it's part of learning the language. You do not only learn the language just like that. You learn the culture.
You're giving meaning.
A language is a culture.
Meaning and life
Yes.
to language.
Yeah.
And as you said, you give an insight on the English culture itself. I mean, you learn a language devoid of its cultural context.
That's
It has to be within a cultural context. That's very, very important for the kids.
Yeah,
that's right.
The two go hand by hand, in fact.
Yeah.
Culture and language.
Mm-hmm. And for you, Skander, for example, tell me a little bit about yourself. How old are you, and how did you? What do you think is the best way for you to learn English, for instance?
Well, I am 16 years old.
Be my
Yes.
student.
Yes, of course.
Best way to learn English.
And the best way to learn English is to be Mourad Ghalleb's student.
Oh wow, wow, Mourad. What a payoff. I mean that's great.
Well,
Any teacher would like to hear that from his students.
well, you've got to read a lot and first of all, be interested in the language itself. And,
When did your interest in English start?
well, I believe in...
Yes.
So young?
yes,
The
yes.
age of 6?
Can't remember.
Since you started
Let's-
primary school?
Yes, yes, yes.
And you started English immediately?
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yes.
All right.
At like, yes, immediately, in fact.
So what do you enjoy most about the language? Do you enjoy the language itself? Do you enjoy music? Do you enjoy theater? What do you enjoy most, for example, when you learn the language? Reading, writing, speaking, listening to?
Well, actually, I enjoy, the English language, just
In whatever way.
in whatever way, music, reading, plays, everything.
Everything.
Even the old English, the Victorian era's English, everything.
Wow.
It's just a fascinating language. And today, most of the world speaks it.
That's right. It's the
It's
first
an
language.
international language.
Right.
It's the key to
Success.
success and to
Key to knowledge. I'd say.
knowledge, yes.
And to employment,
To
especially.
employment.
Right. If you tell me a little bit about, for example, Hamlet. Now you are going to perform one role. What is your role in Hamlet?
I am the king.
The king
The
of
king
Denmark.
Claudius.
Claudius.
Yes.
All right.
I am my brother's brother. Yes, the
Right.
actual king of Denmark's brother, King
Right.
Hamlet.
King Hamlet.
And I killed him. I murdered him to get the crown for myself.
Right. And to marry his widow as well.
Yes,
All
to marry
right.
his wife, Gertrude.
Right.
I believe the role of Claudius is a mix of everything that's bad in earth. The
evil, the
evil,
villain.
all the sins,
Yes.
everything. You've got, since the very beginning, you've got his lust for the crown, for power. You've got his pride.
Lust for his wife.
That's
You've got his greed. He wants to
brother's
keep
wife.
everything for himself.
Right.
You've got his gluttony. You've got his envy of people. He envied his brother. It's really a fusion of everything that is bad in the world in a single human.
That's part of human life.
Yes.
Right. How do you see, for example, this role, or maybe what you have been talking about Claudius, this character in Hamlet, and the similarities between what existed at that time and what we are living today. The realism of Shakespeare, that makes him really a living, when you read Hamlet, it's like a living document.
Yes. Well, I believe that when Shakespeare came up with the idea of Claudius, he wanted to express that with power comes, that's what I believe, great responsibilities. And Claudius is the human that does not respect anything. He just wants everything for himself. He is the evil itself, which is in fact what we live right now.
Right.
The world we are living in.
Because Shakespeare wrote about
Yes.
human nature itself.
Yes.
It's
Right.
human
Shakespeare-
It's a universal character,
Shakespeare
really.
was-
That's why to this day we identify
Yes.
ourselves with the values that
Shakespeare
wrote
was
about.
really ahead of its time. He didn't just write for the English people at that time, but for every nation, every country, everyone in the world. When you look at the wars and all of that today, it's all because of...
It's all relevant.
Yes,
I
it's
mean,
all relevant.
you read
Yes.
Shakespeare's plays. I mean, everything that he talked about at that time in the 16th century
Yes.
is
The
still
Victorian
relevant
era is
today,
still the
right?
same.
And this is why actually his birthday is dubbed Shakespeare Lives. So he lives in everything, you know, in us, in all the aspects of life
One of the
in general.
greatest, one of the
He was a
greatest,
great
playwrights
psychologist.
Right,
ever and psychologist, yeah.
He understood the human nature.
Now, before you perform or you started to, to focus on this role of Claudius, for example, did you study the character very well in order to be imbued? I mean, by his
Yes,
personality,
absolutely.
by his character. Did you read the whole play? Just tell me a little bit. How did you get ready for this key role in Hamlet?
Yes. So, at the beginning, when I chose Claudius, I read about him and all of that.
So
I
you
read
chose
the
it.
whole
There
play.
was not
Yes,
a
I
character
chose
cast.
it.
There was a
Murad.
character
There was a
cast.
character
There was a
cast,
character
Alright.
but I wanted to play Claudius because I find the antagonist quite...
You identified yourself.
Exactly.
It's one power.
I find the antagonist quite interesting. His personality, his morals, his motives, and I really believe, a really interesting character. I mean, he is the power, but he is still human. I've read in his bio that Claudius, even if he is everything that's bad in the world, he's still human, and he is legitimately sad about
Right.
Ophelia's death. And yes, I mean, he still has feelings, but when
He felt some remorse.
yes,
as
he
well.
felt some
That's
remorse,
right.
but
That's
there
right.
is nothing that will get between him and the power, because when in the scene where Hamlet and Laertes fight, the scene when Claudius plans to kill Hamlet,
Right.
when Gertrude gets the drink, the poison drink, he doesn't stop her, because if he stops her, everyone will know that he schemed everything.
Right. Right. So he's so cunning.
Yes, he's cunning.
Yeah. Right.
And we showed them the play, the original play not by Shakespeare, but by great producers from England. They've seen
Yes.
You
two
showed
plays.
them the play
With the Mel,
I mean,
Fajani.
perform it for theater
Perform
or
for the theatre, no,
for the
perform for
theater
theatre,
or
yeah.
for cinema, because
No,
it
for
has
the
been
theatre.
adapted. I mean, there
For the
were
theatre.
so many
With
adaptations
Peter
of
O'Toole.
Hamlet
Don't know whether
with
you've
Peter
heard of-
O'Toole.
Peter
Yes.
O'Toole, yes, is
Right.
a great
Great
English,
actor, right.
actor, and then they loved it just to give them put them in the
In the atmosphere.
atmosphere
Right.
of the play.
Right. Okay, we'll have a short break with music and then we will come back and talk a little bit more about your performance that is due to take place Friday. This Friday in La Marsa, in
Marsa,
Zéphyr La
Zéphyr.
Marsa. Right. So we will talk more about that right after the next track. Stay with us. We'll be back. Welcome back. So today we have the pleasure to have with us Mourad Ghalleb, who is director of l'Idéal School in Nabeul, with one of his students, Skander Kridis, and they are performing Hamlet on Friday at Zéphyr La Marsa, and they have come to tell us about this wonderful project. So Mourad, so why the choice of Hamlet? Why Hamlet? One of the, the longest maybe Shakespeare play.
Well, because it's a beautiful play. It's one
It's
of
a beautiful
Shakespeare's,
tragedy among his four major tragedies. Yes.
Among it's not the most beautiful, but it's among the most beautiful plays by Shakespeare. It's about the themes and Hamlet, power, dealing with power.
Right.
And we in Tunisia or in the Arab world have a problem still.
That's right, with power.
We're still struggling to find our way to democracy.
Right.
And I wanted to introduce my kids to Shakespeare's work. So that was why Hamlet. Of course, the version we're using is not the original version.
It's not the
It's
Old
simplified.
English version.
It's not Old
It's
English.
the simplified one.
Simplified.
It'll be easier for them to learn.
Pre-intermediate level.
Right.
Pre-intermediate level, but it's played by young students, by young learners of English.
So tell us about the team.
There are 12 students, 12 pupils. Most of them are in year 8. Actually, Skander here is the oldest.
Right.
He's 16.
He's 16.
And the youngest is Hadil Al-Jaziri. She's 9. She's in year 5 primary school. And she knows most of the text by heart, by the way.
Wow, that's amazing.
She helps. She whispers, to the other actors when they forget their words.
So, are they going to perform the whole play or part of the play?
The whole play.
The whole play.
The whole play. Yeah.
How long is it?
It's the actual acting is 1 hour.
Right.
It lasts about 1 hour 15 minutes all in all.
1 hour 15 minutes.
1 hour,
That's
15
the whole
minutes.
thing.
Yeah, but it's, to be honest, I congratulate all my students and all of them for the excellent work they have done, because they did not have the chance really to rehearse as often as they wanted to.
Okay, tell me.
We don't have much time really.
Well, that's right. I mean, tell me a little bit about the other people who are involved with you, in this whole project.
The other people are Amel Farjani, the
Right.
producer herself, and
producer and stage director, right.
and costume designer.
And costume designer as well.
Yeah. And she's a teacher of drama in Nabeul, and we've collaborated several times before together, and I've always loved her work. And this time she's done an excellent job with Hamlet, because the whole work is based on the script, really, on the words. The power of the play is based on the word itself.
Right.
So the audience needs to understand English. So if they don't, we will have a serious problem.
Yes.
You see. So she did an excellent job, and she managed to make the actors, perform and be realistic somehow. They didn't learn just the text by heart. You see. I can guarantee you, I watched the whole play, an hour and a half almost it lasted in Nabeul, because we performed it last Friday was in Nabeul, and I watched it for 1 hour and a half, and I was absolutely stunned by the beauty of the acting and the professionalism I saw on stage. Even though the actors are all young,
are not professional actors.
They're not professional at all,
Right.
and they have absolutely no experience whatsoever.
It was their first time getting on
First
stage.
time
Right.
ever getting on stage.
What about you, Skander? Is it the first time for you to be on stage?
Actually, no. It's my third time. I have played.
So what did you do before that?
I played in France
Oh, wow.
and then in Russia.
In France and in Russia.
Yes,
Oh,
in Moscow.
tell us a little bit
With
about
the
this.
school drama club.
With
Yes.
with your
With the
school drama club?
Yes, with my school drama club.
So you were invited to go
we
there?
were invited, yes. We
By
we
other
take part-
schools?
By other schools, yes. It's an international organization that invites schools to participate in a festival called the Festival of Festivals
Right.
of francophone
Countries.
theatre.
Or francophone
No.
countries.
Francophone
Theatre.
culture.
Francophone
Culture.
culture. All right. Okay. So what play did you perform? What other plays did you perform in French?
In French, I performed 2 different plays. The first one being named Tawq al-Hamama. And the second one, Nous irons tous au paradis.
D'accord.
We will all go to heaven. And it was a
And
good
Tawq al-Hamama,
experience.
it was in French, not in Arabic?
French, no?
It was in French.
It was in
translated to
French.
French.
Translated, all right.
And it was quite the experience.
So this is the first time that you perform in English?
Yes.
This is the first time.
In English and Shakespeare.
And Shakespeare.
And Shakespeare play.
It is big change.
Starting
the
with the-
experience is deep, I think.
with hard stuff. I mean,
Hard
right
another
from
level.
the beginning,
It's another level.
it's another level. So tell me a little bit about your experience. I mean, how did you live it? I mean, was it easy for you to to perform, because you already had a performance in Nabeul, right? Tell me about the experience on stage, especially that this is the first time that you perform in English. Was it as easy as the previous ones where you performed in French, or did it have another level to it? How was it?
Well, it was definitely harder than the French ones for a lot of reasons, I'd say.
For example,
The first
what
one,
kind of reasons?
Yes, the first one being that, my God, it's Shakespeare. It's hard to say, to understand, to speak, to play, and the scenes in Shakespeare, they resemble themselves a lot, so it's easy to get confused by them. And aside from that, it wasn't hard. I grew accustomed to the stress before the play, before the curtain opens. So it was a good experience. It was something else. There were a lot of people to watch, and they really liked the play.
What about your interaction with the other members of the team, the other students who were with you performing the same play?
On the day of
the D-Day.
D-Day.
Well,
D-Day.
Everyone was running around and screaming and
crying
and feeling that like they were going
before going on stage.
Before going on stage.
So it was very stressful, wasn't it?
Hamlet told me, the girl.
There was a girl performing Hamlet.
Yes. For the first time, actually, in the Arab world.
Right. A girl plays Hamlet.
The role of Hamlet
by a female.
Played by a female. Well, the opposite of what was done in Shakespeare's time.
At Shakespeare's time,
Right.
Quite ironic.
That's right. Well, maybe because there are more girls, learning foreign languages than boys.
I don't know why, but we ended up with the girl.
With the girl.
Yes.
And she did the job brilliantly. I mean, she was really good.
Did she have to work a little bit on her voice, on her tone, on her...
To be honest, I admire Rania because I did not help her at all. I mean, she just did it by herself. She just performed just the way she felt Hamlet. I did not interfere with her work at all. I did help with the intonation, with the pronunciation, with a few of the actors and actresses. But with Rania, I listened to how she acted, and then I let her do things her own way.
At first, it was a boy who was going to play Hamlet, but then he just couldn't take the pressure.
Right, and you gave it up, so she took over.
Yes. She took over, and she's been rehearsing for how long? For 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
And that's what the whole team have been doing.
Yes, and
the whole thing lasts for about 6 months.
Yes.
But they were not rehearsing on a regular basis, and we had a lot of actors who were absent every now and then, so we couldn't put it together.
So when you talk about the rehearsals, for example, when do you do it? Do you do it? I mean, outside the school hours?
Yes, on Wednesday afternoon.
Right.
Wednesday
so
afternoon,
part
they
of
have
the
a
club,
couple of hours, part of a club.
But still, I mean, when there's no pressure, when we don't have an exact date when we're performing, the kids don't take things seriously, you see.
Right.
So they're slow, they don't learn the text, and you can't afford, to get on stage and not know the text.
That's right.
So really, till the last minute, we still
90% of the play was
like
made,
done in
the last week.
In the last week.
Two rehearsals.
Because of the pressure that
because
is.
Of the pressure,
yeah, that's right.
They knew that they had the date, that they had to be ready, so they just got ready.
Now, Mourad, for you, for example, when you discovered, the talents of your pupils or your students, on stage, tell me a little bit. How did you feel about that?
How could I possibly feel? My God, proud, I would say. Extremely proud. I'm surprised as well, because these pupils, you know what drama or theatre does to kids. These kids on stage or in this play are not necessarily the cream of my school.
Right.
We're talking about academic studies.
That's right.
Okay?
But
there are some girls who are extremely timid in class. They don't even speak in class. They're hard to get into contact with.
Yeah.
And they managed to get on stage and they performed beautifully.
Right.
I had tears in my eyes knowing my kids, because these kids have been with me for 9 years.
Yes.
I know my kids very, very well. And I saw the changes that happened to them on stage.
Yeah.
I can definitely say that theatre, acting works wonders with kids. And I do encourage my students, those who have not had the opportunity to take part in Hamlet, inshallah, probably God willing, next year,
they'll participate with us.
And this joins, for example, what I have read once by Bourdieu, who says that academic achievements are not, the only ones by which you can measure, for example,
I've come to understand this.
Person's.
I came to understand this a long time ago.
That's right.
10 years ago, I came to understand it's not just the academic achievement that counts.
That's right.
I mean, that's important. I'm not saying that it's not.
It
is important.
But there are people who have other talents, by giving them the opportunity, they unleash the other talents that are in them, and you can discover marvels, gems.
Marvels,
really.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, I hope you'll have time to come and watch on Friday.
I hope so, and I hope a lot of people will come and join you on Friday. What time on Friday, by the way?
It's 6:30.
6:30 on Friday?
Yes. On Friday at Zéphyr La Marsa, Alhambra they call it, Zéphyr La Marsa.
And is it free or do people have to pay?
No, it's free.
It's free.
I mean, I do invite anybody or everybody.
This is the biggest motivation, maybe.
Motivation. Those who are interested, students who are interested in the English language,
Right.
Anglophiles, those who are interested in the English culture and language.
Teachers as well, who can get inspired by this.
They can get inspired. They can come and see how brilliant our kids can be when given the opportunities. So please do come see what you can do with your kids.
And when you believe in them, in what they do as well.
To give them,
that's very important.
Give them a boost. I mean, they're just there. If you don't work with them, if you don't try to discover their talents, it will remain. How do they call it? A latent talent.
Right.
Sometimes kids. Unfortunately, I myself went through this in my education.
Right.
I had this talent, for example, but it remained latent. Even at university, I studied English. I studied Shakespeare. I was never given the chance to get on stage and play even a monologue, just to even perform even for 1 minute. You see. So I think we should be given a chance. I mean, schools should be there to encourage the kids to discover the best in them.
Right.
They say there is no worse things than a waste of talent.
Sure.
And a wasted talent when it remains undiscovered.
That's right. When it remains undiscovered, when it remains there and nobody can do anything about it. Yeah. And the person would live with that, for all his lifetime. And unless...
Hayet, I was in a play in 1993, I think. I was an animal farmer.
Mm-hmm.
I was marked, or I have been marked to this day by that role. My kids who played with me, my students back then, I did not have my discourse. I had a school of English called English for You back then. To this day, we get together, we talk about that play, and they thank me for giving them that chance to be on stage and to perform. And
it was a real landmark,
Landmark, absolutely. I mean, it's not something that you'd forget. I was talking to my Amel Ferjani, to the producer of Hamlet. She told me that her daughter and most of the students took them 2 to 3 days to recover from the shock, I would say.
Right.
Shock.
You're right. It's a
they
real
were
shock. Right.
The shock.
Now, did you invite, for example, some professional actors or theater personalities to come and watch the play, for example?
I invited Zéphyr La Marsa. I think he's coming, and I hope he'll be able to come. And his wife as well. Jalila Bakar,
of course. 2 household names, of course, in Tunisian theater and drama, yes.
Also, I invited important people from the British Council. His Highness Mr. Nigel Bellingham is coming. I also invited the British ambassador. Unfortunately, he's not going to be here. He's abroad. I also invited the Minister of Education, but he's not going to be able to make it. Right. But he's sending somebody on his behalf.
Well, that's wonderful.
And that's really wonderful. And I hope more, some teachers, I invite also a lot of English teachers to come and see. Hoping
and
that
we
that
send
will
them the
encourage them
invitation. I mean, through the microphone here.
Through the microphone,
from FTC,
they
come and join you on
They
Friday.
don't need an invitation. It's
right.
an open,
it's open
invitation.
So just
Please
come and watch
and encourage
and enjoy
and enjoy.
We really appreciate it.
I can guarantee it, Manata. It's a beautiful performance. I mean, it's played by
young students.
Young students. I mean, but it's almost professional. Honestly.
From the as you said, from the age of 9 to the age of 16. I mean, and doing something. I mean, from the caliber of Shakespeare. I mean, it's really. I mean, you have to believe in that, honestly. Okay, Mourad, we'll have a short break with music, and the next one, it's not music actually. I have chosen a trailer of Hamlet.
Wow.
And we will just listen to it. This is something that I just wanted, a treat for you. So this is a trailer of Hamlet that I found. So let's enjoy it.
To be or not to be.
Castle Rock Entertainment proudly presents Hamlet, the most celebrated drama in the English language, seen in glorious 70mm format, adapted for the screen and directed by Kenneth Branagh, with a distinguished international cast featuring Derek Jacobi, Julie Christie, Kate Winslet, Robin Williams, Billy Crystal, Gerard Depardieu, Charlton Heston, Jack Lemmon, Richard Attenborough, John Gielgud, and Kenneth Branagh as Hamlet.
So that was a trailer of Hamlet. Actually, it is said to be the story, the most filmed, or the world's most filmed story after Cinderella.
Right.
It's Hamlet.
Wow.
And this is a trailer of one of the
that answers
movies.
your question, why Hamlet?
Yeah, that's right. Why Hamlet?
I'm making
that's
no
right.
exception here.
The most famous drama in the world.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it's really a great one. Now, what I'm going to ask you now, we talked about the rehearsal, we talked about the work of the whole team. Tell me a little bit about the costumes, about the stage direction, about the work of Amel, for instance.
We tried to keep it simple. I mean, you'll see we used cubes on stage as decor to be able to move them around, because it's difficult because she's doing the job
Pillars and
by herself. And the costumes, she prepared everything. She's the one who designed the costumes.
And
She went for an obscure style for everyone except Ophelia, because she's the innocent one,
That's
the innocent one,
the innocent one,
innocent one in that bunch.
So apart from that, all the other costumes are rather dark.
Yes,
Rather dark,
black,
yeah.
dark green, dark
Right.
brown, red, the color of blood.
Just it goes in line with the whole
Yes.
atmosphere of the
The
play.
atmosphere of Denmark.
Of Denmark, that's right, at that time. What about the lighting and the other sound effects, for example?
She's multi-talented.
She took care of
Yeah.
all
She did
that?
everything.
She's
I love
awesome.
the choice of her music. The light as well. We tried to keep it simple.
Yes.
I mean, again, I'm saying that the play was quite professional, but it's not, of course.
Right.
You have to keep in mind that it's played by pupils. So we tried to keep it simple to be able to play it in other places, because we were not sure where we're going to perform. We performed it already in Nabeul this last Friday.
And this is the second
This
time.
Friday, second time. And for next year, we might have a cultural program and move around in Tunisia and performed in Kairouan, Gasserine, perhaps Sousse, why not Bizet, and move around in schools and perform it just to encourage teachers,
and to inspire.
and to inspire,
To
yes, and
inspire
encourage
other
and inspire
pupils and other
pupils
teachers.
and schools as well. I mean, it's absolutely feasible. I know it costs money. I'm not going to tell you how much it cost me.
Right.
It's very expensive.
So the funding is from you,
The funding
Mourad?
is from me, yes, from the school.
From the school.
Sometimes it's difficult, but I mean, it's definitely worth it. I mean,
So you have no partners or sponsors
no
in this
partners,
project?
Unfortunately, no partners.
No partners.
They will come in time.
They will
They
come.
will,
I
yes.
hope. By seeing maybe this first performance, maybe they will, get into it, because it's very important to encourage.
The problem is that the school is sponsoring other activities as well. I mean,
Right.
we have cultural activities and we have sporting activities. So we send.
So theater or drama is not really
it is
the main.
Important. No, it's not. It is very important.
It's very important, but there are other activities.
Actually, for next year, I'm planning to have my own theater at the school because we had a problem rehearsing in other places. So we might have a pocket theater in the school and the cinema. So, I mean, this is my view for the school itself. I mean, what is a school? I mean, if you can't act, if you can't watch a movie and discuss it, if you can't take up a sport, take up a hobby and find the proper equipment and proper what's the word? Proper facilities.
Proper
that's facilities for it. Right. Then the school would be restricted to its academic role, just to teaching. I mean, that's important. It's the main role of a school.
And that's your vision as well.
I think my vision is to have more into a school than just the academic achievement.
Right.
Because all these things help, I'm sure that Hamlet does help, the students who or will help the students who have taken part in acting will help them in their future lives and future careers.
I'm sure, and especially that you have helped them, gain this confidence in them by being on stage at that young age.
It develops other skills, other skills that we cannot develop in the classroom necessarily.
That's right. That's right. Okay, one more break with music, and then we will come back and conclude. Stay with us. We'll be back. Welcome back. You are listening to the International Service of Radio Tunis, and today our guests Mourad Ghalleb, then Director and Teacher of English at l'Idéal School, and also Skander Kridis, one of his students. They have come today to talk to us about a beautiful project, which is the performance of Hamlet, the longest play, in fact, by Shakespeare. They are going to perform it at Zéphyr La Marsa on Friday at 6:30 p.m.
Yes, Hayet, but it's the longest, definitely, but it's not going to be long. I mean, it's going to last.
I know. It's going to last an hour.
Version.
Yes,
that's right.
Version, yeah, it is really one of the abridged versions of Shakespeare plays. Right. So, Mourad, tell me a little bit about your plans for next year. Tell me a little bit about your strategy. I mean, you've started with maybe 3 or 4 plays up to now.
Yeah.
I mean,
next year.
So next year you're gonna.
I took a decision along with my staff at the school. We're going to have one play at the end of each year in English. So next year we decided to.
So part of the end of year celebration.
End of the year celebration. So it's
and graduation and everything.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily with the graduation, but by itself.
Like we're doing now.
Right. Sorry.
Because during the celebration of the end of the year party or end of the year celebration is difficult because we have a lot of kids. So they make a lot of noise and so on. So we want to make a special just for the theatre.
Right.
Just for the work we have prepared. So next year it's going to be again William Shakespeare with Othello.
Othello, wow, another tragedy.
Another tragedy. There we go. And there's going to be another play in French, definitely, because we're part of an international club that does
the
international. It hosts
francophone culture.
francophone theater. Actually, next year we're going to host a national day in Nabeul with other schools, of course, taking part in this festival, and the year after we're going to host ourselves an international festival of theatre. It's going to be a francophone and anglophile at the same time.
Right. I mean, do you have the idea, for example, to include other arts like music, for example, like?
That's a different field altogether.
A different.
We're going to have a choir next year, and we do have performances in the school and in Nabeul, but not along with Hamlet or
is music one of the subjects, for example, taught at your school?
Of course, yeah.
It is one of the subjects.
And
Right. So you have students who can play different
Depends
instruments
on what they're interested in. I mean, each student chooses what he's interested in and simply takes it up,
right. Okay, so let me go back to Hamlet at Zéphyr La Marsa on Friday. Why the choice of Tunis, Mourad? You performed it the first time in Nabeul, you said a week ago.
Yeah.
So
no, just this last Friday. This last Friday. Why Tunis? Because we have we invited people from Tunis, and we want to be close to them.
And you wanted to reach out?
To be honest, I want to reach out. I want my kids to experience going out of Nabeul and going to perform, in Tunis.
But you have experienced going abroad.
Still Tunis.
Wow, going abroad.
We experienced going to yes. Well, this is a new team, This is a new team, so they haven't had the chance to go to Russia or to France. So I want them to try, performing somewhere else apart from Nabeul.
Well, for a premiere, it's very good that we're going to perform in Tunis. Not everyone has this chance for their premiere.
Right. Are you stressed, Skander? I mean, to be performing in front of a different audience?
No, not really.
Not really.
It's I've learned to turn the stress. I've learned to turn the stress into positive energy.
Great.
It's better to be happy about it than stressed.
Now, how do you manage all that, especially that it's the end of the year? I'm sure that you are busy with exams, getting ready for semaine bloquée or whatever. So how do you put all that, with the rehearsals, with what you are doing with drama? How do you manage all that?
Well,
you spend a lot of time. Do you have any time on Facebook, for instance? Do you spend much time on Facebook, for example, or going out, hanging out with friends, for example?
Yes. Well,
you still have find time for that?
Yes.
Great.
Well, I think to myself that how many exams am I going to take in my life? I've taken exams all my life. Exams all my life. Tests all my life. My life, in fact, is a test. But on the other side, how many plays am I going to perform in my life? How many plays?
You've got 4 more as long as you remain
you are
at the establishment.
16.
Huh? 16?
You are only 16, Skander. And,
no, as long as he's in my ideal schools, he's going to be in 4 more plays.
Wow.
That's a promise.
The sacrifices are worth it. The sacrifices are worth it.
The sacrifices are worth it. Well, what a payoff, Mourad. It's... what a payoff. So, Skander, maybe if you can give us maybe an extract of the role of Claudius that you're going to perform on stage. Few lines.
Well, this is what I think defines most the human nature of Claudius. Here goes nothing. Oh, my crime is wicked. It is the oldest and the worst of crimes, a brother's murder. My brother's hand. My hands are covered in my brother's blood. I must try to speak to God, but what can I say? Forgive me for my brother's murder? I can't say that. The crime has given me my crown, my dreams, my wife and my country. How can I ask for forgiveness if I am not really sorry? My heart is as cold as a stone, and my knees refuse to touch the ground. But I must try to speak to God. Perhaps, if I succeed, then everything will be all right.
I hope everything will be all right for you. Thank you. Oh, you're
excellent,
lovely.
excellent. Well, as you said, it really sums up the whole character. These few lines, they really sum up the character of Claudius, and it talks about the human nature, as you said. Well, I wish you all the best of success.
Thank you.
In your studies and in drama.
Thank you.
We hope to see you in future plays by Shakespeare. Maybe next year you will take up the role of Othello or Iago.
Iago.
Well,
thank you so much, Hayet.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. So let me remind our listeners that they can go and watch the play then on Friday at Zéphyr La Marsa at 6:30 p.m. Thank you so much. Our last track, Fayrouz. Thank you.
RTCI unites us.